You all right?
Harrison Stream.
Welcome to Fragments, our Demiplanes of Dread campaign. I am your DM, Harrison. We didn't play last week because of technical difficulties. Tonight, we have a bit of a problem in that, first of all, I've hidden the mad cartographer's face. Let me unhide him. Your fox face is about to fade out, Mad. Get an appropriate facial expression ready. Very good.
Hazim unmasked.
Hazim unmasked, yeah. And due to technical difficulties in the lab, unfortunately, Luca Lock has been shrunk to a tiny, diminutive size. She will get slightly better on the next screen we go to, but I forgot that there were two screens because this is just a shit show. An absolute amateur shit show. So yeah, we didn't play last week. However, the week before, we were missing Hazim due to some IRL business, but that IRL business did allow him to listen, so I'm going to ask Hazim to do a viewer's recap, not a player's recap. Over to you, Hazim.
Okay, so when we finished it off, we had just gone into Silver Bass after the ambush on the road, and then we were being brought there to try and help the children. Whisper had said that she was able to help them. We didn't go into any more detail than that. When we got there, we were being introduced to the Reaper, the Ghost Reaper or something. What was he called?
Ghoul Ripper.
Just making future NPCs here.
Ghoul Ripper.
Yep.
Ghost Pepper.
Ghost Pepper. The Ghoul Ripper. And I can remember that Whisper did some healing on some of the. Can I remember that? Wow, now I'm just filling in the gaps. Now this is imposter syndrome. I think the end of the session overshadowed everything else. So I'm trying to remember what happened before we get to that very dramatic climax.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, nobody does now. Nobody knows what we're talking about now. Right, I feel like there was established that the knight dude. Oh, what's he called now? He is called
The Night King.
Gondogal. Did he isn't from Silver Bass. He isn't a good guy. He's basically an agent of Drakov that basically tries to lure people to see if their faith, right? I think Ghoul Ripper kind of confirmed a little bit more of that he was telling us that I don't know whether it's necessarily Camp Watton, but they frequently raid Silver Bass and basically just burn children in the night, that kind of stuff. I feel like they were expecting a raid soon, and we were sticking around, were we? I don't know.
It had been a few weeks, but they knew that a change on shift was coming soon, and that was normally when it happened. Okay. If it was going to happen, they said that it almost always happens when Irina is involved.
Yeah, I can remember Ghoul Ripper's displeasure of Irina, because I think he was basically saying that stupid bloody bitch, blah blah blah, and then Whisper was like, yes, I too have a disliking of her. Did much else happen other than the end bit?
It was downtime. There was, they got to know people in before they took rest.
And Ines did their nails. They did a little shopping. They went to the food court.
Played a bit of Dream Phone.
We had that episode where Toph and Katara go off in Bossing Sink by themselves and get makeovers and all that sort of thing.
Just went to the arcade, did some Dance Revolution with each other, that kind of thing. So that's everything I can remember up to the point where oh yeah, okay. So that was kind of like foreshadowed when the children were introduced. Vanessa was like, "Do any of them look like they are alone and not with parents?"
I'm fairly certain Jack had something along the lines of, do any of them look like they wouldn't be missed? It's like, Jesus!
That was it. It was very much a silver bass smorgasbord. Which then, at the end, Vanessa was talking to the girl and then cast darkness on everybody. Engulfed everybody in darkness. And then, was it in the dark that we were like, roll a wisdom saving throw, roll a wisdom saving throw? And then I granted the +2 to the save. You failed. You rolled inspiration, and you failed. And so the child got chowed down on. And then Vanessa slits out of the darkness. And then whilst she had returned to her bedroom where Hazim was already asleep and Whisper had just retired, voices were heard by Vanessa saying, "We can make it all." Because Vanessa, obviously, she felt conflicted and she felt bad, but she had clearly given into the hunger. So she felt like, or the voice said that child was innocent. You know, they hadn't done anything wrong, and so there's a chance I can make this all go away. We can undo all this. And then Vanessa took that opportunity. And so, as far as I'm aware, nobody remembers anything. However, so the child is still alive. Don't know what that means. Don't know what that means for Vanessa.
We don't know if the child's still alive.
Okay, sorry. We don't know the child. Yeah, so out of character, I'm presuming. So we've not seen that bit. But then one of the guards came running in saying, "What's going on in here? Oh, it went dark out there." Or something along those lines.
You need your peasant hair back for that. No, don't do it. We'll get Twitch terms of service. We'll get banned for obscene content.
I'll go and do it in the hot tub. You can do it in the hot tub.
So yeah, that's where we left off with the group getting a night's sleep. Vanessa, it would have felt a bit like a lie-in for you, I suppose. You felt sprightly and refreshed, but it was still time to go to sleep anyway. You haven't told me of any nocturnal plans you had, so we'll say that you all slept the night away. Which brings us to...
I think what had happened last time was because of the conditions of eating. It's essentially a long rest, so she stayed up the entire night just journaling and going through the materials that she does have to.
That's fair. Yeah. So you all wake up. It is now the 7th of first moon. This morning marks a full week since you arrived in Falkovnia. So you've been here for 1 week. I'll take us through to the keep. Yeah, it is the morning. Again, it's not raining. That's just unfortunate about the map. It is looking to be a clear day. Let's get some music on here for you.
Who would I see stirring awake first?
Probably not me.
Yeah, Hazim sort of set up a habit of sleeping in a bit, hasn't he?
He always has a bit of a lion. He's like a lazy teenager.
I'll stir, but I'm not gonna like pop up or anything.
Pop, pop.
It's kind of like it's just kind of like an eye open considering getting up, checking that everything hasn't exploded in the middle of the night. This music makes me feel like we're in a great fairy fountain.
In a what?
In a great fairy fountain? Like the way it started with the piano.
Okay.
Obviously, it's a different vibe now, but when it first started, it was like...
I feel one with the Mako and Gaia.
As you should. But Vanessa seeing Whisper starting to stir awake, she'll just look over and notice it. She'll watch until like Whisper notices her looking at her, and she'll give a slight smile and then just go back to writing.
Yeah, I'll stretch and sit up. What do you write so much in there anyways? Are they stories?
Not the kind of stories that you tell. No, it's something of a journal. Just general thoughts and ideas, and now research. How did you sleep?
I slept okay. Considering I slept better than I have at the fort.
I remember when we first met, only a week ago. It feels like months at this point. How you would make burrows for yourself. Just sleeping in a bed. Feel awkward, strange.
No, I won't deny that sleeping in a bed has its comforts, but there is something safe about the earth surrounding you and the smell of it. And also it reminds me of home. It's hard for something to sneak up on you or surprise you in a burrow that you scratched out yourself.
I guess it's a fair point. But unless you live in Velkovnia, where the dead regularly rise and come up from the earth, could be an issue.
Perhaps they have burrows and dens and huge warrens underneath the ground, and we just don't know.
And Vanessa will just look over at Hazim, who I'm sure is just snoring very loudly. And what do we want to do with our day?
Out of character, remind me, we actually did have a plan, right? We
You-
had talked about doing something.
Yeah, you very helpfully for me as a DM kind of made half-arsed suggestions of doing one of a number of things, which was great, was absolutely thrilling. So yeah, you have talked about...
We were talking about going to the, what was it? There was another like commune to the, I think it was west.
The one that had been burnt, the one that had been raised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I have
Is
questions
that
on
one
this?
different than the one that the zombies are said to be inhabiting?
Yeah, that's
the
that's
same?
more
I think
fun.
that's the one.
Oh yeah. The zombies are. Yeah,
The
it's
same
overrun.
one?
Nobody lives there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, no,
Airy
Airy,
is the
okay.
one that was wrecked. That you pieced together with a bit of out-of-character intelligence check. There is also what the speaker zombie seemed to keep saying, and Ghoul Ripper made red mention of one of his men had seen behaviour that he could only describe as a zombie trying to very, very clumsily till a field.
Yeah, we were thinking about going and investigating that, but we also were worried about making sure that we got back to Fort Watton on time, if that's what we wanted to do, given that we only had 2 days to do it before Homeboy died.
I
or was
believe
executed.
I believe we decided to actually return to the fort despite reservations. Just because for now it seems the most prudent to still gain information and not just gain more enemies.
Yeah.
So, my notes on the things you made references to potentially doing is you acknowledge the fact that now, today, as of the 7th, Dennis is to be executed tomorrow on the 8th.
We're not saving him though.
You made mention of perhaps checking up the Zamiara ranch, although you didn't really have a reason why, other than you've now heard that it exists. Because you knew, remember, that it was across the Tidelands a little bit, but that you couldn't continue much further past it because you've heard several mentions of the heart soil, and that only more Fenzi agents are able to get over it, which you haven't followed up on yet. You were slightly interested in the idea of checking out Dekovan Manor across Lake Kriegvogel, which was the lake that Silbervass sits on.
We saw that when we came in, right? As soon as we came in.
You noticed a building, a large building across the lake, and Ghoul Ripper was very much like, we don't go there. You also had a brief mention of maybe just going straight onto Lekar and trying to just make, now you're out, just try and press on. But you didn't really talk that through much. And yeah, you mentioned the idea of going back to Fort 1.
Well, if I remember correctly, which who knows, I think we discussed going to Lekar, but even Ghoul Ripper was like, "You're not going to get in."
Yeah, you're not going to get in, and if you do desert, you'll have a very short head start before people in the guards in town are hearing about you. And unfortunately, you are a group, or two-thirds of you are a group that would massively stand out.
Not anymore. I've taken my mask off. I'm fine.
It's true. It's true.
It was a mask all along.
Oh, that'd be amazing. So to do a character like that.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of options before us. Is there something that stands out to you? And I guess maybe we should wake up Hazim if we're going to do this. And when she says that, she just gives Hazim a very hearty boot to the butt to wake him up.
Yep, I'm awake. We are all still alive, yes?
Depends on how you define that,
For
but
now.
yes.
Okay, then it was a good night.
These are comfier beds. Were we in decent beds in comparison to Fort Watton?
No. These are, collapsed, ramshackle. They are essentially sleeping bags on the floor.
Okay. Then, yeah.
Because they're pretty much always on the run.
Okay. Then yeah, I will get up and start doing some stretches. So, what is the plan?
That's what we were discussing.
Mm-hmm.
I really am very interested in checking out this area. However, I believe we landed on returning to the fort. Do we think it's possible to do both?
Don't think we have necessarily brought any new information that will please the fort, and we have no bandit scalps in our possession, so we will be going back extremely empty-handed. We have no information on the whereabouts of Caleb, Kebab. Kebab.
Yes, I believe we have to accept that Dennis is not someone that can be saved by us.
From everything we have seen, everything we have heard, he has disappeared into thin air. And so it would not surprise me if it was indeed the owlbears. A late night stroll. The last we saw him was in the evening. He seemed to have been having a pleasant time, but then nobody sees him after that. Nobody sees him leave. Nobody knows where he's gone. I think it is a shame for Dennis, but I do not see how it disproves anything.
Well, if anything, we can at least give one last argument for this theory and perhaps give him a stay of execution, if not a full pardon. I don't have much faith in Irina to see things rationally, but it's not like we can't try.
No, for a land that is in need of soldiers to fight the undead, their willingness to sacrifice family members for the disappearance of their soldiers, I don't think much logic would be found.
I don't know. I imagine in a place like this, it is much like gangrene. Quicker and easy to take the whole leg so that the rot does not spread. If you have one bad apple in the mix, then often as not the others are tainted, yes?
I think it is less medical and caring and more control through fear, but I understand that they probably see it that way.
Good news for us is if we return to Fort Watton, even empty-handed, we at least did what we said we were going to do. So
Yeah.
that should buy us a little bit of favor.
Do you think we would be able to stop by this area on the way?
He's not on the way on the return journey, but if he has not been seen here, and there is no sign of him at Fort Watton, then there is perhaps a chance he went that way.
Perhaps
There
he
is-
did not know it had been destroyed and headed
Yes.
that way.
Perhaps, yes. Perhaps Intel led us there, believing we found tracks of some nature, and unfortunately, when we got there, there was no sign of him.
I mean, we do not know that this is the case anyway. There is a good chance that he did go that way. All we know that he's not in Fort Watton and he never arrived here.
Fair point. I was still working under the idea that he was eaten by owlbears.
Either way, I do not think he is attempting farming with the undead. So if he did go to Aerie not knowing it was destroyed, I still do not expect to find him alive.
Here's a question: should we find any oddities like that? The undead tilling, working the field. Is this something you share with Irina and the fort? Do we keep it to ourselves?
I do not think there is any need to. We've already handed over one that tried to talk. And now, did you say we've kind of, even though it was out of character, have we worked out in character that it was saying Eerie?
Yeah.
Now that we have heard the name of this place as well, maybe there is more to the Eerie than we think. Perhaps we should investigate it before we mention anything. As you say, if there is any semblance of life in these creatures and there is any help for them, perhaps we need to find this out ourselves and then decide from there.
Well, I think if it's settled, we should probably get on the road sooner than later. We can at least make it back at a reasonable time for Watton.
Let us try and return with something over nothing.
We should give our regards to Ghoul Ripper before we go.
Yes. Jim, I don't know if I even need to, but are we safe to mark off a long rest?
Yes.
Or I guess.
Yes,
am
you
I?
all. You all can. I don't know why that rolled as whisper. Vanessa, you just hear a bit of a shift of leather on stone. Just for a moment, your ears sort of prick, and you become quite convinced that someone is outside the door.
I will, as we're kind of talking, I will, I'll turn my head towards the door and just put my finger to my mouth and then just point towards the door. And I'll create like you'll watch as like a shadow falls across the floor and then a hand just reaches up and braces itself on the handle. It's not turning it yet, but just in case we want to.
I'm gonna just look around and just, with almost like a mischievous kind of like eyebrow raise, just make the symbol of like popping up my girl on the other side of the door. And shrug. Seeing if you guys want me to duplicate myself on the other side of the door just to get some sort of spook on this person.
Yeah, Vanessa will nod.
So you're going to channel divinity and pop.
Just, I want it standing right outside of the door, just staring intently. At the spot where someone would be standing outside the door. Who knows, it may not work, but I just really want them to cry out or something.
Do you not need to be able to see the spot that you're casting it in?
That's what I'm going to check right now.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then a spot you can see.
Yeah,
within.
a spot you can see within. Never mind.
This is where Poe would have been lying on his front, flattening his head for just a crack under the doorway and do it there. You did that with that. You did that.
Angelo! Go!
Yeah, there's a couple of times you peeked through keyholes and bounced Angelo on the other side of him. I remember that much. Okay, yeah. So we
How
can't.
you never just knifed me through the keyhole in the eyeball? I have no idea.
That's no night. There's nothing glorious
Shame that it
about
fits through the
this.
keyhole, though.
Yeah.
So if everyone's okay with it, then Vanessa will turn and very suddenly open the door while still seated across the room.
Yeah, so you'd have seen for a moment before righting themselves, not in like the sort of sneaky crouch down way, but almost sort of leaning on the stone of the archway at the door, arms folded, clearly quite casually listening. A roll is being done. What's that for? Are you just lying back onto your bed?
No, as she opens the door, I'm gonna just crouch down.
I'm picking up glaive.
Okay. You see Strahd von no.
Means nothing.
I feel like my natural reaction would be to just get ready to hide.
You see the woman you know to be called Rekis. This is the one who did most of the talking in the valley where you met in the past, and has very much given me impression of being number 2 around here after Ghoul Ripper. And you see Vanessa, but she starts slightly at the door being wrenched. Her hand went sort of shot down to her hip for a moment, but sort of stopped, seeing nothing was there. Someone's just told me that's apparently Eowyn's art. Never knew that. From some sort of game. And Rekis looks between you all, just like.
Is there anything that we can help you with?
Yeah, she takes a step over the threshold into the room and looks between you all. Like, it doesn't sound like very Talon talk. And yet I thought you were returning to the fort.
Oh, we are returning to the fort. How much of it did you hear? This conversation of ours, this private conversation of ours.
I think essentially all of it, perhaps. Certainly, since talk of journals and writing, and this one being a heavy sleeper, the last 5 minutes or so.
And what have you to say for yourself then? You know it's rude.
I don't care for rudeness.
Nor do I.
I simply like to know who is staying amongst us. What your intentions are.
It is interesting to try and find these things out after you have let us sleep. Surely these were questions before we were welcomed as guests.
And you were welcome as guests, but it's one thing to allow someone to stay under the roof after doing us a great service. It's another thing to find out who you are and what you are about. Well, at least one of you has done us a great service. And she gives us a bit of a nod to whisper. To Hazim, you, I recall, doing very little at all. You were very quiet.
I helped get her here. If it was not for Azim the Great, she would have not reached Silver Bass on her own. So you can thank me however you wish.
He's modest, isn't he?
And she just sort of... Her eyes linger on Hazim. She's given him just a bit of an up and down, and clearly just given some sort of appraising too. So, you're still lying down, aren't you, Hazim? Or have
No,
you
no,
got
I got up and I was stretching and I grabbed my glaive.
Yeah.
Just kind of got it over my shoulders, kind of like casually.
As tall as you are, I can see why you favour the glaive.
What of it?
I'm just not sure if you're a friend to Drakov or not yet.
Maybe you should stick around and listen to more of our conversations.
Okay. And she just pops herself on the edge of whichever bed is nearest. Please, continue.
How do I know that you are not a friend of Drakov?
Just gives you a bit of a filthy look. Rest assured, I am not. But you were talking about... Where are we going to next?
We're thinking perhaps the Eyrie. We have heard interesting things. We have seen interesting things. And signs are pointing back in that direction. And we're also still looking for somebody. There is a chance that somehow they ended up making their way down that road instead of towards Silver Bass.
It'd have to have a specific reason. Everybody knows it is ruined.
I imagine this is so. We have heard people speak of it in the fort. I do not imagine it is something that is kept to themselves, but who knows, these lands are dangerous. Perhaps there was something in the road that scared him from heading this way, and instead he fled that. If you have not seen him and the people in the fort have not seen him, then it is just a possibility. And the place, it has piqued our interest.
Drakov's forces will not like you heading that way, having not been instructed to do so.
We were simply instructed to go and find where Caleb was, and so we were not told to not head towards the area. Do you have any interest of it yourself?
I am just interested in the three of you. It was excellent. Greatly appreciated and beneficial.
I
The
wonder if
restorative arts. Yeah, go for it, roll it.
This broad. Can't believe it.
Just in general, of a specific comment of an interest in you.
Yeah, and I want to know if it's
Can
like,
I-
if there's like any malice behind it, or any kind of like
Okay.
other intent behind it.
Can
Yeah.
I help with that by turning to, now I want to say Eowyn, Rakus, and just ask, can I ask if you have any stories from your people or your childhood that you would share?
How are you thinking that'll help as an insight check? Insight's not really one you can grant assist. You can't really.
It's more just like getting her to talk more. Maybe let
I'd
her
say if
guard
you want to
down.
roll your own, because I rolled like ass. So if you just want to roll your own,
You can ask her for us. You can ask her for a story. Sure.
Yeah,
But
doesn't matter.
fir-
She might not give it.
yeah.
I
so
actually do want to ask her that.
Yeah.
But I was hoping to get it like beneficial as well. But if not, then
yeah, I wouldn't take
Still
assistant on.
asking
Yeah, that's fine. In terms of your insight check, the nest, she's definitely here with intent. She seems to be thinking about what she's saying enough that there is clearly an intent other than eavesdropping. However, she's keeping herself quite collected, quite closed off. Not easy to get anything from her. Whisper asks the question
yeah.
about a tale.
I will look at her and ask to share a story. How I did and explain. Usually, when travelers or people from different clans come together, they share their stories. But I feel like we did not get that chance last night, so since you have heard so much of us talking, perhaps you might share one of your stories.
I would give you Whisper that while she's kind of glancing at you, sort of just enough to show acknowledgement while you're talking to her, she is predominantly keeping her eye on Hazim.
Okay.
I'm smiling, and I just go. It is her way. She asks this question quite a lot.
We tell our stories in the evening, but you all retired rather early, so do not get to hear them. Perhaps tonight, if you are still here, you will hear a tale. I do have a story I can share. A very interesting tale. Perhaps more of a riddle. Of someone who turned up unexpectedly with great healing prowess. Unlike anything we had seen before. And yet that very same evening, a strange oily black cloud erupts amongst those same people. To what end I do not know, but it has never happened before. And yet, you did something to them, and a short time later, panic and fear manifested in that room.
I was asleep for the whole thing, right, Jim? Like, I have no idea this happened. I don't, like, no one even came and woke us up. Or Mia.
God
guard
came in,
came
but I
in.
feel like only Vanessa was still up at that point, because Vanessa just got back in.
Yeah, okay. I'm definitely going to just lean forward, very interested. Black and oily, you say?
Cloud of black, dark, noxious smoke, so I am told, that none could see through.
As
Did you see any creatures?
Can I roll something? Because obviously we have seen Vanessa cast darkness, I believe. So we've obviously kind of experienced that. Now I don't know that she's done it, and I don't want to kind of meta and put two and two together straight away. But so can I roll something from the description, like
Maybe an
Arcana?
maybe an Arcana check. No creatures. The guards were there in moments. It dissipated after a while.
Did anyone pass on?
You mean die?
Yes.
No. Everybody
anyone
was.
hurt?
Was it cold?
These are very specific questions. Why would it be cold when this happened? You do know something of it, perhaps.
I
One
do not
person
know
was
what you
hurt.
described.
Yes.
Hurt? How?
Yes. He seems to have taken quite a bad knock to his knee on a bed frame, trying to stumble out of the room.
Did I get anything off of 10?
I would say off a 10, no, I don't think you'd make that connection to the spell. Haven't seen it used before.
I cannot help you there. Strange things afoot, no?
Very strange things afoot. Just seems to be remarkable timing. I
do not
wondered
think
if there
so.
was some sort of after effect of what you did to them.
No. However, I worry that I may be drawing the wrong sort of attention. If this Gundagar can arrive just by someone speaking ill of Drakov, what would happen if someone were to show up and heal Drakov's outspoken enemies?
Did we not establish that that was just bullshit? That he just randomly appears?
It's unclear.
It's like
It's unclear.
I thought,
we didn't.
Okay.
yeah.
I thought they were like, no, it's an
It's
urban
super
legend.
unclear, like whether it's actually a trick or whether it's an urban legend.
Okay.
By design.
I cannot speak for this effect that you are speaking of. I have seen Whisper use her abilities many times, and never before, even here in this place, this last 7 days that we've been here, we have seen nothing like that. I speak my words true. I rarely lie.
She raises an eyebrow for a moment. Do you see yourself taking a path that brings you against Drakov? Or do you think you will just do whatever you can to stay alive?
If you're asking us if we're here to betray you or cause some sort of insurrection, the answer is no.
I would say, for myself personally, and I cannot speak for my friends here, but in this I believe we are of the same thinking, that Drakov is not our enemy, whilst we have not seen that they are particularly pleasant. They have shown us no ill will yet, and they have not asked anything of us yet that we have had to commit to. If they asked us to come and kill the people of Silverbass, then I feel we would very quickly make ourselves enemies of Drakov. So for now, we are keeping under the radar. You have heard of radar, yes? We are keeping under the scrying as much as possible. But until we are forced to take a side, then we are simply trying to survive and leave this place. And if we have to go through Drakov to do that, so be it.
Why would you go through Drakov to do it?
Because do they not guard the borders that cover most of the mists? That is from where...
Anybody can get to the mists. You just head in a direction and walk until it swallows you up and you are torn limb from limb.
Then perhaps we need more information on these mists. It would feel as though that we are all prisoners to Drakov.
Mm.
And so if they are keeping us in Fort Watton or keeping us in Falkovnia, then sooner or later they will undoubtedly become an enemy.
I fear how short-lived your rebellion would be if you were to make enemies of Drakov. You do not seem particularly skilled for fighting against your typical Talon.
Well, your concern is noted.
Oh, I don't know what it is that you do, but I'm sure you've been alive. You've stayed with this group, and people have made a great deal of, since last night, saying very, very little about what it is you bring. And so I feel that it must, whatever it is, whether you are just uncanny with that crossbow, I don't feel like I need to worry about you, but this one is all bluster. And that glaive will not serve you very well.
It has served me well enough for as long as it has served me.
I like you.
I am very likable.
Let's have a fight.
Very well.
And she just thumbs to the doorway.
And I kind of like give everybody an eye. I'm like, okay. And I will pick up my glaive. Have a bit of a stretch. Forgive me, I've had nothing to eat yet, but I think I'll be okay.
You can take your time to eat. I wouldn't want you to make any excuses afterwards.
No, it is fine. And where are we heading? Out into some courtyard area?
Are Whisper and Vanessa following?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll Whisper and I will catch up with you if you don't mind. Whisper, I wanted to just go over some things before we leave.
Of course.
Okay, shall we do the things you want to go over first?
Sure. Yeah, it's just a quick conversation.
Yeah, go for it.
That smoke, that blackness that she described, you don't think it has anything to do with this black rabbit you've been talking about following you?
No. He is not one for grand gestures of fear or trying to make himself known. He has a task to do, and he does it without malice or any sense of actual rule needing followers. He comes for us all. It is only a matter of time. So, if no one died, I cannot see why he would appear to these people to collect one of them. I can only assume that Drakov has become aware of us, or perhaps has heard of my magic. We have shown it to everyone. So perhaps word of my healing has finally reached her, and she watches us. There are many eyes here to look through.
And many mouths to whisper back. No pun intended.
That's the name of a film.
Drink. Roll credit.
Well, we should carry on. There is something that I want to discuss with you and Hazim, though, when he's not engaged in flirtation with this woman, whatever it is they're doing.
Is this a meeting ritual? Has she chosen him? I feel like
She
she
might
danced
have.
up to that
She might be
for
curious.
quite a while.
I mean, he is a curious young man.
His favorite animal is a peacock. It's all about him, ladies.
Jesus.
With his glaive.
Dazzling with the tail, the hypnotic pattern.
Yep.
Well, whatever the case may be, hopefully he's able to at least win her over enough that she stops badgering us.
So, Hazim, you are led outside into the sort of the muddy streets. There are no well-stocked fruit carts on like this map. It is very, very bare, ramshackle. No smoke from the chimneys. But yeah, you head to like the mudded area outside. You see that Rekis has on her side a longsword and a shield as she's walking ahead. But as she gets to sort of what used to be a bit of a crossroads, or probably wasn't the town square of Silvervass when it was filled, but it was a bit of an intersection, a bit of a busy place. So she takes the shield and just sort of throws it onto the grassy bank on the side. And she stood about as far away from you as she is on the map. And just sort of turns around and quite slowly and casually takes her long sword out and sort of cracks her shoulders a little bit, saying, "You have a very fancy long weapon and an excellent reach with your height, but you must have seen these are the weapons of many talons, many gods in Draco's regime."
What of it? You think they're the only people that walk around with swords?
No, but I think you may be overlooking some things. Let's have a see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you will educate me.
And I will step forward and kind of little, nothing fancy, no big flourish or nothing. It's like, you sure you wish to do this?
She just smiles. Let's roll initiative.
Am I in combat or are we just...
Yeah.
roll
I'll
initiative
put
just
you
in
in
case.
combat. If you both want to, well, we know. I know what you're referencing, Jack. Yeah, we can pop you in if you want to. If you want to jump in, if you feel.
I feel as I'm walking out, I would turn to these two and say, "No funny business. This is me and her."
Whisper would look insulted that you even thought she would interfere in this.
Mm-hmm. Haven't we had a moment before where Whispers like quickly cast guidance on me before I went to do something?
Yeah.
Yeah, not an open, like non-murderous assault.
As the music starts, I look around for witches, for hags. 'Cause I'm pretty sure this is the hag music. This is the Babylon Saga.
It's not for hag in there. It's not for hag music. It is witch music both since I found out the requirements for using it on streams. Hazim, you're up first. She seems to have planted her feet and sort of be passing along. So she's keeping her hand free and sort of passes the longsword from one to the other, sort of watching you with a slight smile, but it's not like the arena shit-eating grin.
Sure. Okay, then I just kind of take a step forward. It's like a quick poof, poof, go left, right, and it's more a kind of just a test shot. This.
You weren't targeting, I remember, but yeah, she just gets the sword and almost sort of reverse grips it a little bit and just pushes your blow wide.
Sure. I'm like, okay, and I take a little step back in a circle. Can I roll my glaive?
Yeah, is that you?
Yeah.
She will take a step back.
Bold.
And another one. And then she sort of strafes a little bit and sort of ducks like she's doing a feint, and she's gonna come in and try and close to you.
Well, obviously, attack of opportunity.
Yeah. Well, as you go to, you see as you lean forward, that smile just increases a little bit, and she flips a sword to the other hand and ducks in as she attempts to. Will you please make a dexterity check?
Well,
Opposed.
she was built directly to combat me. Okay.
She throws a sword in and just grabs your glaive with her free hand and wrenches sort of you towards her. She moves, keeps forward to meet you, and she brings her sword up. But it misses. She
As
brings
she
it
does
up,
that, I kind of like
and you
double-
see the.
Yeah, as the blade comes up, because she's kind of like got the long end, I'll kind of like body it, but I pull us both in really close to each other.
Yeah.
Bit of a tango.
The pommel comes right up, sort of next to your face, and she moves it away and just circles around you a little bit.
Oh, so my miss was her knocking away. Her miss was she did it on purpose. I see what you're doing. Okay. That's it. Very good.
Oh, it's you, sorry. Don't know how I went past her twice.
You are fast. And I'm going to make a glaive attack on her as a pushing attack. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend one superiority dice. So let's see if I actually hit her first.
And Vanessa and Whisper, as you're coming out after your chat, you just see this in the square. There's a couple of mildly interested people, but you're very aware that anywhere else, they'd be cheering and, you know, sort of like, not catcalling, but like rabble rousing to like everything else happening here kept very, very quiet. There's a lot of low muttering, but people do not like to make noise in Silvervass.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I kind of like got to push her, I got to push her back, but she's still got hold of the glaive and kind of like pulls us back in close. I'm like, you do not want to leave me. Very well. And I will. Yeah, sorry. I want to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna circle around that way. So kind of like
Yeah,
moving around with
and
it.
she's just sort of holding on to it. You can tell she's like trying to wrench it from you. She's just sort of keeping
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and it comes to her. She is going to make an attack on you. She brings the flat of the blade down sort of across your neck, and as she does, she just sort of launches her knees forward, and she is going to try and do a pushing attack on you.
Ooh.
Can you make a strength saving throw DC 15?
God, it's all coming up shit today, isn't it?
You are shoved quite heavily backwards. And then she comes over and makes her second attack. Which misses.
There's still a bit of sport in it, but now he's a little bit more unsure. Okay. No talking before. He's gonna go for his attack.
That will...
It says it hits.
Yeah, however...
Because she counter it.
She will add 2 to her AC. It looks like it's going to come in, but at the last second, she just brings a quick bottom to top blow, which only just knocks it away.
Okay. Let me double check with the thing. 1 second. I don't know whether I have to. I think if I just. Oh no, because it won't be counted as a hit now. I wasn't sure whether I'd get my bonus action still.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna action surge then. I'll use my action surge. I'm gonna make another attack on her.
Okay.
Fuck me. Oh, actually, does the parry last for? Is it just
No,
one reaction?
It's just that attack.
It's not the end of the turn. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and she just sort of ducks back and say, "They all use spears. They all use glaives. I'm so used." She backs up and sort of steps to the side again.
As she does, I attack of opportunity her.
Yeah. Go for it.
Fuck me!
But she still, it now being her turn, will try to grab it and wrench you back in again. You see it coming this time, though.
Okay.
So she no longer gets it at advantage. But make me an opposed dexterity check, please. You see? If you see it comes in, and then like she still sort of slows her hand a little bit to your glaive. And if you see it come through, you grab and you yank. And but this time she sort of like steps herself more towards you. They all favour the glaive. They all favour the spear. Keeps the undead at bay. Because one bite with everything. Look for that opportunity. Pull them in.
You
I can
combat?
I can show you how, if you need to. I can show you how I learned to do it.
And I kind of like. I would very much enjoy tutelage. It was indeed a very tricky maneuver.
Good. Good.
And I will kind of like put. Like kind of look at her. She's now basically kind of like just approached me like. You know, the combat is over, yeah. Ish?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, then I will.
Well, for her part, unless you're like, fuck you!
I will stow the glaive on my back and kind of like ribbon it and say, we cannot win every fight.
Yeah, and she will offer to, depending on what the others want to do, she says she can take about an hour to show you like the finer points of it, of trying to pull that maneuver off. And effectively, it's something that you would need to spend a little bit of time training, but then it would be an extra maneuver that you would just have added to your base pool. You wouldn't have to lose anything for it. To give the description of the ability of maneuver, close the gap. When a creature makes a melee attack on you with a melee weapon from outside your range, you're able to trigger this reaction, or vice versa. Make an opposed dexterity check. If you win, you can choose to grab the opponent's weapon and pull them towards you in a surprise motion, making a melee attack against them as part of the same act. If the target has never seen you perform this maneuver before, the dexterity check and subsequent attack are made with advantage.
I will spend some time with that. I'll be like these guys. Spend some time, go and get some breakfast. Decide what we're doing. I will join you when I'm done. And then I'm gonna, yeah. I'm intrigued to simply spend some time with this fearsome young warrior woman.
As they're sparring or whatever, Vanessa just turned to whisper and go, I guess this is what mating is like for him.
I guess so. I would have thought this would have ended with them leaving together, but I guess they just want to spar more. Breakfast?
Breakfast, yes.
GM, I'm gonna go try and find some sort of spot to eat my rations, I guess, because it's not like they have some mess hall here, or I'm expecting them
There is a little bit on your way out and on your way through being taken through to the younglings chamber last night. You remember there was the slightly larger room that would have been not the great hall, but the main hall. There was a room that had like 2 or 3 large benches in. Come on, you know Cragmore. And yeah, you'd have gone past people just sort of grabbing a bit of cold morning, hard tacking, maybe some cold stew from last night. Remember, no fires, no smoke in the daytime. Everything was firmly stomped out before first light, so the dregs of the smoke would be gone. So there is no hot breakfast here.
I feel like I would have more than enough rations, though, that I would have, because we supplied from the fort coming out here. So I will probably just find a little patch of grass in the sun and start, like, opening up my pack to eat some rations.
Okay, and Vanessa?
Yeah, Vanessa will just sit beside her quietly. Not like intently watch her eat her rations, but we'll just kind of hang out while she eats.
Are you not eating anything?
Oh no, I'm not quite hungry yet.
I'm pretty sure I had some small amount of coffee if we could heat water.
I'm sorry?
If we could manage to get some heated water, I think I might have some coffee.
Well, I can go see if there's anything that might be able to heat some water for us.
If you are not thirsty, though, it's fine.
No, I'm not. But if you want to drink, I don't want to limit you.
Jack, can I insight check Vanessa?
Yeah, what do you want insight check?
Just how she's feeling. How many times have I seen her eat?
You haven't seen her eat at all.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I feel like at this point they've been long enough together that I feel like Whisper would have picked up on it as well.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. $15. gosh, it's going so slow for me. A 15.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you'd want to handle that.
I
DM.
wouldn't Oh, okay. I wouldn't respond or anything if I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't say anything, then she's not going to say anything back.
Okay.
I'd say it's probably high enough to pick up on it because it's not like
Yeah,
Vanessa
totally.
isn't like lying or anything. She's not like being deceptive. She's just
Yeah.
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. It's more just I'm not gonna say anything, but it's more of just like a look at her. Kind of one of those like, hey, I'm not gonna say anything, but I am aware that you're not eating. Moments. I will just continue eating.
Well, let me go and find some hot water for you then. And Vanessa will stand and
And then just runs out of the town.
grab a snack on the way home. Vanessa will kind of like, I guess, as discreetly as possible, go to the mess hall to see if there's any source of water that can be heated or any hot water.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you. You're muted.
Don't know why the splash screen is just a solid teal mess, so I've reloaded it.
Should I reload as well? Because it is still
I'm fine.
It is still.
feel mess for me.
Oh, has it gone through? Has it gone through to the splash screen of a town for you, Jack?
It's the keep right now.
It shouldn't be.
No, it's not now. I've F5'd.
Yeah,
Maybe you sent
you
me
all,
to the keep. 'cause
you
that's
all
what
may
we've got.
need to F5.
Oh no, it is. I'm sorry, it is the town. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're able to find some water. Heating it will be the difficult thing, as now they're like, no fires, not in the daytime. The smoke will give us away. You had your chance last night, sorry.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll manage. And she'll just take the water and give him a bit of a look.
There's no need for that attitude. We told you last night, if we light anything, the fire, Draco's forces will see. I'm happy to make something for you tonight, but we cannot make another fire once you've been stamped out.
It's fine. It's fine. I will manage.
Are you sure? Because it doesn't, from your tone, it doesn't seem like it's fine.
Bother. And she'll just walk away. Thank you. And she'll just strap back over. And
You just hear like a... I get up early, I go around, I ask everybody I can hear if they want
Honestly.
anything. I stamp them out. I make breakfast for anybody who is here. And as soon as I say no, just the attitude.
Everybody we meet has the
it just
worst
gets me
attitude
down.
you've ever met.
It
The
just
moment
gets
you
me
do
down.
that, it's
It
so
gets me
ridiculous.
down. Honestly, man.
yeah.
I don't even know why I bother sometimes.
Just walks out of Silver Bass. Just like, I'm going to the Eddy.
Oi,
Yeah.
Drakov, Maria!
Maybe he'll be appreciated in Lekar. But yeah, no, she'll just saunter back over to Whisper and I couldn't heat it myself. I don't know if you have any means to heat water, but they were very insistent about not lighting any fires during the daytime.
Thank you for going and getting this. I
could make it
I
iced coffee
could.
if you like.
Do you have ice?
Sort of.
Yes.
And so she will take the coffee and take like whatever kind of strain you have, or like sieve or whatever, like maybe a cheesecloth, and she'll set the coffee up and just pour it over, letting it drip into the cup. And then as she does so, she looks around, making sure that no one's watching. I don't know if I need to roll something to make sure that no one's watching.
No, I feel like the sort of location you've described, you've both gone to, I would say, is, unless someone's like literally invisible, you would have eyes around.
So then what I would like to do is, you can tell me if this works or not, but as she's holding the mug of coffee, from where between the two of them, there would be some kind of shadow cast, and out of that shadow comes another one of those hands, and it reaches up and grabs the bottom of it.
Are you
And I would
chill
like to cast,
touching to make coffee?
frostbiting? But yeah.
Then yes, you absolutely am allowed to use that. Yes.
And yeah, so she'll release the mug, and the hand is just holding it now in front of her, and then the hand brings it over to Whisper. You see there's like a little bit of frost on the outside, but
yeah, I'll take it, just kind of doing the whole, as it's cold. Thank you. And I will sit. I'll just kind of pat the grass next to me and just kind of tuck up with the cold brew. Kind of enjoying the morning sun. If you want to join me as we wait for Azim to finish his,
courtship.
Yeah,
his courtship dance.
I imagine very much like one of those birds.
Yeah, in the Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's me running around the circle doing that to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come back to the square and I've built her a nest. Just pebbles, a big circle made out of pebbles all the way around.
Pieces of zombie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Vanessa just takes a seat. I thought she was already sitting beside Whisper, but if she wasn't, then she does now.
You left to go get coffee.
Well, I thought when I came back, I sat back
Oh.
next to you and then did the ritual. But yeah, she's just sitting there chilling.
Good one.
Exactly. Looking off.
The use of my gifts, Miss Lucidia.
She's looking off. At first, it looks like she's just sort of staring off and just watching the city, the town rather. When the voice pops up, she does her best to hide it, but she does sort of tense up a bit, as if focusing on something.
If it seems like you're tensing and focusing on something, I'm instantly gonna kind of ears up, except just be looking around, waiting for danger. Very much expecting you to have seen something, and I'm just watching now too.
Do I hear anything else?
Not yet.
She doesn't respond to it, and I'm sorry. Just trying to think about what we're going to do about this trip we're taking today. We should get going sooner than later. We should probably. And I hate to interrupt Azim's courtship dance with Rekis, but we should really be going.
My XP bar is only at 70%! No!
Are you? You seemed as if you'd spotted something.
I thought I did, but it wasn't what I thought it was.
Okay.
Does it feel like the net is always closing in? They're definitely becoming suspicious of you. What are you going to do? What would Constantine do?
This is the point where Vanessa stands, very poised. I'll go seek out Hazim. Stay here. Enjoy your coffee. And she'll start to walk away. You know, I liked it better when you were quiet.
I assume that's out of my earshot.
Oh, yeah, it's out of your shot, yeah. I mean,
Whisper's fucking hell,
what was
sorry.
that?
If you want to
Sorry,
roll,
was that to me?
if you want to roll a perception, totally fine.
Well, are you saying out? So I've kind of had it. I just assumed you were replying in your internal monologue. Are you actually
No,
speaking when you're replying to her?
She's speaking, yeah.
Okay, yeah. You'd already said you were walking off. If you feel like she'd be so taken by emotion, but it would have been a
She's
mutter. We can
rabbit,
certainly.
She's got big ears. It's fine.
Okay, make a perception.
If she wants to.
Yeah, make a perception whisper. We'll call it a 14. And she's sort of muttering as she's walking off. Thanks for the coffee. Didn't hear shit. And yeah, in response to that,
Well, I was weaker, and tired and small, but you're feeding me ever so nicely. As you nourish yourself, so I too benefit.
Well, if you don't mind curbing some of your hungers, but for more appropriate times, it'll keep us both safe.
and there's just another laugh and no further response.
She rolls her eyes and keeps walking to go find Azim.
If you look back at any point towards Whisper,
No.
No? Okay. We'll take our break there. We'll take 15. Stay with us. Find out where we're going next. We'll see you back here in 15 minutes' time. Thank you, everybody. And we're back to reality. Oh, there goes
Back to that.
gravity. Hello. Yes, we are back. So, I should have gone that one. That's much better. Vanessa walks off, returning to the keep. Whisper drinks her ghost-chilled coffee. Hazim does a little bit of sparring, and I'll add the clothes. Oh,
Not to interrupt, but Vanessa's going to go find Hazim.
yeah. I mean, that amount of time, you'd still find him where he was with Rekis sparring away. They're kind of bringing it to its end. She's giving him some good pointers.
I've in turn have given her some.
Sure.
How old is she?
From the looks of it, maybe late 20s, early 30s. I would say you spent enough time talking and having a sparring with her, but whilst good-natured, you detect zero flirtation, Azim.
Yeah. No, I
That's a
think
shame.
he's no, he's not interested in no more than just giving it the chat. But yeah, he's not necessarily trying to crack on. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we want to move on, so I'm not going to idle conversation with her now, but I imagine that, it was more an instructional sparring than a chit-chat and let's get to know each other. It
Yeah,
was very focused and with purpose.
yeah. But as you're wrapping up, you see Vanessa approaching, looking like she wants to speak to you, I believe.
Yeah. A little vexed, but okay.
Yeah, I kind of like see it on her face, and then I look to Rekis and say, I feel like I have grabbed the fundamentals. I will, of course, keep training to perfect it, but thank you. It has been a long time since I have had a mentor in this way. It is appreciated.
We're all trained the same way. We all fight the same way. Bar a couple. If things go foul with them, that's a trick that could save your life.
Well, as my friend Whisper would say, having many tricks is always a good thing.
Just gives you a nod. Gives a nod to Vanessa. Heads back in the direction of the keep. Stopping just to pick a shield up off the grass.
And as she's walking away, I will fucking kill you for this. For the embarrassment you've suffered on me. Oh, Vanessa.
You get everything you needed to out of this. Out of her.
I believe so. There's been a long time that I have sparred in such a way. They fight somewhat differently here. I feel like she has spent
much of her life simply trying to fight falcons as best as she can. Perhaps it will come in handy.
I should hope so. We should be going though. If we're going to make it back to the fort on time, we should get to Aerie as soon as possible.
Do we know how far away it was?
You know that it is just from a point where you reached the fork in the road of a nice little Tidelands splash screen. You know that it was just shy of a day's march to the east.
Okay.
Going along the top of the. I'll pull the map up. Let's get a map. I'll show you.
It was still early morning because we've woke, done a bit of sparring. Are we saying it's going to take us we'll get there at nightfall?
Pretty much.
Okay, so it's not a camp over job and then we would get there the next day. It's like if we travelled, we would get there at night.
Yeah, you'd get there evening.
Okay.
Perfect.
What do we wish to do? Do we travel all the way there and...
Just to show you, yeah, you know it is along the southward.
Okay.
What was that, Hazim?
Do we want to arrive there by night, or do we wish to make a camp a ways from the actual town? Spend the night and then head there in the early morning. It will be too late for us to head back to Fort Walton with any news of Caleb. I almost hope that we don't find anything there, because if we find something, then we might be returning too late with it. But I feel us wandering into the area that is plagued with these undead at nightfall is probably dangerous for us. Camping a little outside, then spending a few hours in the morning to reach it may be the best option for us.
I think you are right.
Where did you come from?
So, I'm sorry. Had you guys not wandered back to me by now? No, I'll go. I'm sorry.
Maybe I imagine you probably, unless Vanessa wanted to say something in your absence, I imagine you would have finished your drink and walked along.
You're fine.
No, Vanessa's got her arm around me. She's like walking me out of the town, like leaving Whisker
I
behind.
will see my way out of this conversation. Sorry, I thought you
No,
guys
it's fine.
No, you're in.
the sparring and we've regrouped.
You
It's
have.
totally fine.
That's now what happened.
Okay. Where did you
Speak
come
your.
from?
Ah.
Just fucking standing here. Oh shit! I forgot what I was gonna say.
You were saying, you think Hazim
yeah,
is
but
intelligent
I
and it's
am-
the best thing to do.
But I am curious to see what they are like in this town at night, considering they are more active at night. Perhaps their farming efforts are less struggle.
Perhaps, but after a day's journey, do we really want to be surrounded by a bunch of them when they're at their most active? We were fortunate last time that Dondagal turned up when he did. We were...
No, I was merely stating a
Curiosity.
curiosity. I am in no rush to run into an undead town at night.
We could perhaps survey it from a distance, but I do not know. We do not
How
know this
far
place
outside
well
of the-
enough.
How far outside of the city are you wanting to stay?
I don't know whether we would be better in the woods or in the Tidelands. I feel like if we camped out perhaps two hours outside of the town, in the fields themselves, it is more open. We could see them coming a lot easier than them creeping through the woods and the tree line.
Jim, the Tidelands are the ones with the heart soil, right?
But that's in a certain direction, though, right? Or is
The
it
hard
all
soil
Tidelands?
is north of the Tidelands. The Tidelands is like a good farmland.
It's a specific area of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, beyond the crops, you will see that the grass seemed shorter and red and... Yeah. And you know that beyond that is more fensy. The way that Irina described it is the road that you're currently on, you're effectively near the bottom of the letter C that goes up and curves around and ends at more fensy. So, as the crow flies, you can go very, very direct, but unfortunately it involves going over hard soil.
You say unfortunately. Why unfortunately? We don't know that.
Yeah, we don't actually know why only the Talon can go over the heart.
No.
No, it's only the Morfensi agents can go over it. Because they've got horses sussed it. There you go, that's what it is.
Well, I've also got I've got the uniform, so...
Yeah, there you go, that's all you need. So if Vanessa carries us in her uniform...
Or I just, like, drag you along like prisoners, you know? So, we got a couple of them here. Don't worry, I'll take care of it.
I mean, if we're kind of like talking about this now as we're working, and I'll say, I imagine there is something more unnatural about this land, yes? Not so much that they are free to pass, but some sort of magic.
Magic, or maybe more deadly iterations of the undead.
You know, it is strange to me that we suspect Drakov has been alive and ruling this land for as long as she has. It is strange to me that in a land that has been so consistently ruled by the same person, there would not be more stories. Why don't these people have stories? No one can say anything about their own land. They don't know anything about their own history, their own people, their own heroes. It's as if she's erased all their stories. I bet there are a lot of stories about the heart soil that no one remembers.
Perhaps those that had stories were killed. Perhaps those that went beyond the norm and went beyond the safety. Perhaps they died before they had anyone to tell their stories to anyway.
Perhaps they didn't have stories at all.
What was that?
Blood red grass. Oh, I wasn't sure who you were asking. Go ahead.
No, I was saying perhaps they don't have any stories at all. The man who was with us at the guard tower that we investigated, he was of a certain age, older, and he said that ever since he was young, he remembered Drakov being Drakov, as Drakov that age. And out of character, DM, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But when we probed him further about whether or not his father remembered her, or if there was another ruler, he couldn't answer.
Yes.
From your couple of conversations with him, yeah, you did all establish at the time that it wasn't that he was just being vague. There was a very sort of like...
It was like a...
Like his... A bit of a weird sort of... just Homer's night out. Yeah, there was a definite moment of realising he was having some sort of difficulty making that connection in his own mind.
It's like they try to look at it and their eyes just glaze over it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel that I feel like they don't have stories now. But blood red grass with a name like Heart Soil doesn't just not have a story. But no one knows it. If there were no stories here, everyone would name their towns Underhill or Overton or there would be no story to the names. I think
wonder-
Drakov is controlling information by having erased stories.
This might be a wild theory, and it is just a theory. If that man, who was older than all of us and who seemed to be one of the oldest amongst the current crop of villagers and militants at the fort, if he couldn't even remember, if he couldn't remember someone as prominent as Drakov, and his only memories of her are as she presented, and as seemed to present since he was a boy. What if there's something arcane about it? What if this is all some kind of invention of hers?
Are you saying this isn't an effort over generations of someone unnaturally long-lived, but that there's a spell affecting everyone here? And she is actually newer than we would think?
No, I don't think she's newer. I think she's as old as people think she is. But they don't think that she is. She's always presented, at least as far as I can tell, as a woman of middle age, not someone who has ruled for as long as that man at the guard tower said she would be much older than she is. But everyone remembers her at this certain age.
No one seems to think that's strange.
You can see, like, kind of Hazim's kind of keeping quiet. He's looking between you both, and he's not like an intelligent person or anything like that. So he's kind of trying to grasp, like, when you throw into the arcane and kind of like some of the theories and things that you're talking about. Is like, you can see that it's just a little above his pay grade, but he just kind of says, it sounds almost like they are stuck in time here. Like nothing moves on. There is a period that they remember, but almost like it is reset when they try to look past that point.
Whenever she came.
Or perhaps to a point where she doesn't want anybody to remember something that happened before, perhaps. Or
makes me wonder.
perhaps
Something she doesn't want them to know or remember, or anyone new that comes along to find out.
It makes me wonder, though. These, as you said, these villages and these places have names, and you don't get names without people having been there, and you don't not have stories for places that you've been, even just anecdotes. Is this place arrested in time, or is it something other than that? Is it something? If she's the only constant, and everything here has a name, people don't remember anything before that. Perhaps this is more evidence that this is all manufactured by her.
Perhaps this land was much different before she arrived. And she took all their stories, and they don't remember how they should be. They just know how they are now, and that's all they've ever known. Because that's all they can remember.
But what if this man-
GM, can you remind me really quick? We haven't seen any even, like, everywhere you go, there's some book somewhere that even references like a nursery rhyme. Have we seen anything like that?
I've only been at a fort though.
Yeah, but I
nursery
mean,
rhyme?
go anywhere and try and find something that doesn't reference anything. Even Jack and Jill fell down the hill kind of thing, you know?
You muted,
like-
DM.
You can walk down the street.
I just
and
thought
find,
she was
like,
being
a sign for a-
tremendously ignorant, is all. I forgot I was muted. I was like, wow, if you let me answer, I'll tell you. No, you've been in a military for a indeterminately old ruin in which you managed to scrabble a couple of books, and then a town that is, well, all
but
but
the name
ransacked.
Of the bar is Bloody Pecker, not like the Fox and the Cat or Jack and Jill or you know.
So, however,
That wasn't the original name for the tavern, though.
no, it was not.
You're right.
Whoever owned it before had named it, and Dennis renamed it. The original owner was
Also,
dead, if I'm not mistaken.
Parents were reading the story to children out of a book last night, but Whisper wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Vanessa was really paying attention to it.
Yeah, but also Vanessa would tip her hand that she was there, she said.
I mean, all the material that we found so far, at least text-wise, has been vague at best, bizarre at worst, like that strange, small, papery book, the one by that Asimov. I wonder, because we're not the first to come here, obviously. Strahd has come here. That other person who's
Varet Janelle.
Yes.
Janelle has come here. So people can come here. But maybe when Rekis had mentioned the mists and going inside them and being trapped, devoured, and eaten by whatever is inside there, or whatever undead she thinks is there.
Limbs torn asunder, yes.
But in the text that we found, Strahd himself has talked about talismans, about rings, about travel. What if that talisman that we found can take us out of here? Maybe there's something about the mists that... Maybe it's maybe the way that this place is manufactured, that mist is a barrier between where we were and where we are now, and the only way to get out is with a talisman, like the one that we found. That's why Strahd was so adamant about finding another one.
Perhaps. Obviously, none of us wants to have our limbs torn from us. Perhaps we might find a farmer that we could befriend and ask to test for us, since that happening would not kill them.
The only question is how to utilize the power of the talisman. That creature that welcomed us back to Fort Watton, the one with the clay skin, seemed very keen on getting it.
In most stories, a talisman is simply worn. You think there is a ritual?
I don't know. It could be as simple as being worn and just willing ourselves to return home.
I've heard a story like that once. You had to click your heels. Well, I don't know how we go about testing this, but every bit of information that we find convinces me more and more that we need to go to Morfensi. I don't think out here at Fort Watton is where we'll find these answers. But perhaps Ari. Or maybe just more questions.
My concern is that we can't test it. That talisman goes... If the mists do transport whoever enters with a talisman to their desired location, that they take the talisman with them. That would seems to be the logic of it anyway. So if any attempt that we'd made, we'd have to make it first try. We can't use the talisman in that way and expect to get it back if we gift it to someone else as a test subject.
Vanessa, was there only the one talisman?
Only the one that we found.
Yeah, the arrowhead.
I know we only found one, or at least what we believe to be one, based on that creature.
That creature calling it a talisman.
But I could have sworn there was, and I don't know notes very well, but I could have sworn there was mention of a triad. Do we not believe, I know Hazim, you think that is us, but do we not believe that perhaps it is the arrow, the shaft, and the fletching, like the feathers? Perhaps it is a whole, we only have a piece?
Perhaps. Could be that.
Vanessa, as you look over to whisper to reply, you see
Oh. Shit.
it is not Whisper, it is Vicoria.
What? Who?
Stop it.
Stop what?
The things are doing the things again. And she turns to Hazim.
Constantine.
Stop.
Not doing anything, Vanessa.
And just noticing the difference in the voice. Whisper's words were short enough that it's look been mistaken, but a few words from Hazim and just the jarriness of the accent, and after a moment you see that it is Whisper and Hazim.
You're seeing things as well.
I think this is the land that was playing tricks on you and making you think that your children were here are doing the same thing to me right now.
Did you see?
We should keep moving.
Did you see them earlier
No.
when we were sat eating?
No.
I keep trying to keep an eye out as we walk, but however Drakov or whatever forces are watching us, I do not seem to be able to spy them with just my eyes.
Are you still walking around Silvervass, or are you taking it but you've left
Oh, I
at
thought
this
we
point?
left, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think we're
thought
at least
we-
walking out of town. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna
Yeah.
come stop us. Everybody knew we were leaving, so.
Yeah, and I don't feel like there's any need for hugs or tearful goodbyes.
Yeah. And I mean, we
You
said
know.
we could say goodbye to Ghoul Ripper, but I think that with everything that's going on and like the theories that are spinning, we probably got preoccupied with it and just like,
Much information was exchanged. Also, favors have already been repaid. So, like, I feel like everyone knew we were leaving.
Yeah.
It's morning. Let's go.
yeah, Rickus would have said something to Ghoul Ripper, I'm sure.
Yeah, in my mind, we had like left and were walking out of the town and on the road.
Yeah, same here. I thought we were on the road.
Okay.
But Vanessa will just snap out of it a bit. Strahd's letters, they seem to indicate that talisman isn't just the one, that there are others that can be used. The one that we found is probably just the one that he's been looking for, but the person that he was corresponding with seemed to have already had one themselves.
Perhaps there are three. I'm sorry, Hazim. We may not be the triad.
These are all theories. And
It's true.
I suppose through much talk, sometimes it can lead you to the correct answer, but also as much it can sometimes just be talk. And it can get our minds wrapped up in fancies and ideas, and sometimes we close our minds and our eyes to what is actually in front of us. Let us not get too carried away with all these ideas and guessing. We still need far more information than we have. And I, for one, have no intention of walking into a mist that can tear me from limb to limb with just holding a talisman and hoping that it works.
Agreed.
Agree. At least maybe we could go to Morfenzi first, if we can get there, and see if the Strahd person has any information.
It seems like a strong lead. But we need something to trade with. What we've done so far has not been enough, clearly. Maybe Eri has more answers. They were interested enough to send Morfenzi agents to bring the undead who's able to speak. It is clearly something that is new to them. But now we know that there are possibly more. It is a long journey from Eri back to Fort Watton. But perhaps we make it with more proof. Perhaps that will get us to Morfenzi.
More questions.
Unless there is something about these creatures.
As you continue and you reach a point where the Tyvelans are now on your left, you see in the distance that cluster of quite heavily fortified farm-looking buildings you now know are called the Zamiara Ranch. Way across the Tyvelans, you see that point where the grass seems to become shorter and red, and it's only much more hilly. And beyond that, just at the edge of your vision, as you can see, quite an abrupt, rocky uprising. Nothing like the pillar stone of Ravenloft, but it's set on quite a large natural butte at the far end of the Tyvelands. You see the cluster of buildings, very indistinct from here, but you know to be Morfenzi. What is very distinct is that currently from the largest of the buildings, set slightly higher up, there is a thin but very strong and constant plume of dark blue smoke just spiraling up into the sky. A new pope has been selected. It is very much in that style. There's just a stream of dark blue smoke.
From where?
That's Morfenzi?
From the largest building.
How far away? How long will it take us to get there?
Wait. From Morfenzi or from the largest building at the farm?
So I described the farms, and then I described how the Tyvelans continue. Beyond that, you can see the transition into the Heart Soil. At the end of the Heart Soil, you can just see the sort of rising up of the buildings that you know are Morfenzi.
Okay.
That large. So I would say from here, it looks like it's probably maybe a good 10 miles away.
Morfenzi is 10 miles.
Yeah.
Dude, let's run there. Let's go.
Yeah, we could literally get there. So that's closer than Eri.
Slightly further, looking at my zone map. But obviously you do have the Heart Soil between
Which
you.
we don't know what the issue is, but yeah.
Sure.
Only
I'm
10
just getting
miles?
I'm
I
getting
think
my
your
ruler.
mileage might be off slightly. If it's like a
I'm
day,
looking at my
if it's a day to get to Eri.
It's an airy and a half away. Looking at the using the ruler tool on the on the fully revealed DM map, it is an airy and a half away from your current location.
So it's further than Eri, which is a day away.
Yeah.
So this is
It's 5,081 wine bottles away. I don't. what
Now you're
area
talking in
is
terms you understand.
okay.
Like I know exactly how long it'll take us to get there.
We can get there in 17 sips.
Okay.
Okay, an area and a half. And okay.
Try not to bog you down and hold on a minute. That
I know,
doesn't make sense.
but there is a point in every campaign where you do get your trundle wheel out on me.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that I know that it's taken us a day here, and you just said that that was 10 miles away. You can literally like do like 20 miles in a day's travel, easy. Unless
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Well, you know that the Morfensi agents set off first thing and got to Fort Watton in the evening. So you know that they did it direct in a day, but you don't know.
So
they
it's-
can
it's
crush
What it
the
is.
and they run horses.
C-shape. It's
They run
the
horses.
C-shape that really is adding in the travel time. It's going around these heartlands that is adding in the travel time.
And I guess looking at it, it's quite hilly terrain, so I get that it would be slower, but I think your 10 miles away was way off.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
So
All right.
yeah, so that's all. That's all. It's not it's not a big deal. But I don't want us in our head suddenly thinking that Silverbass is here and that Morfen's is here and then Ares all the way over here, and we've just not realised the layout of the map. That's all.
Meanwhile, the jam's like, I guess if you want to go there.
No, I'm more
Right
just
here.
I'm more just thinking if you can see it from here, I may as well reveal it on the map because you can see everything across,
okay.
and at least
That would be
then.
super helpful.
Let's have a look. Which button is it? I never have to use it.
Artwork. I really
You
do.
should be able. Is the map not set for you to be able to toggle to it anytime you want? So you can.
No.
Oh,
okay.
Hold on, let me look. No.
No, I know I have that done with Curse of Strahd. I'm going to need to.
Can you set it up in the journal for us?
I will do, but just give me a second. I'm just revealing it all. I'm trying to. But
Would you like
trying
me
not
to
to.
hassle you about things while you try and do that?
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Okay. Blue smoke is rising from the tallest building at what we believe to be Morfensi across a field of blood red grass.
So, okay, let me have a look at that. Looks to be acceptable. Let me just... There's a few things here to reveal, and then we will be on it. So, that is revealed, that is revealed, that is revealed. Okay, where are we? Map.
Okay.
Okay.
You've
Oh, look,
hidden
he's doing the thriller dance.
You've hidden everything else though.
Yeah, that isn't
Okay.
the case on mine for some reason. I think an F5 will fix that.
The hearts of Morfensi. Branch. F5. I mean, I'm gonna just turn to
Yeah,
the
F5 and
blue.
F5 and fix it to me, just to be clear.
Having seen that blue smoke rising, I will do a quick scan of like the surrounding land just to see if I can see any movement of like horses or any sort of anything in the distance before looking at the both of you, and just kind of seeing if you guys have noticed and what you seem to be making of it.
Yeah, but your perception checks. You're just looking to scan across what justice.
Yeah, I'm looking, having seen that blue smoke, like, I don't know what it means. Like, is
No.
this like a warning cry? I know it's not the new month yet, so it's not like a sirens kind of like get everyone hunker down. So I'm just scanning the land to see if I can see any troop movements or just agents like trying, like, because we've got this big open expanse in front of us. I want to see if I can see any movement in front of me.
12 on perception.
Okay, yeah. You do see, looking beyond the Tidelands to where it reaches the Heart Soul, I mean, that is getting to the edge
Oh, what
Of-
is with that world?
reasonable vision before things start to become just too indistinct. You do see the occasional lone figure or two who seem to be not travelling anywhere with any particular purpose. So then there's some distance where it's impossible to make out the detail. From the movement, you would imagine that you're seeing a couple of groups of undead just shuffling around the hard soil.
Yeah, it looks like more dead there. We should keep moving.
What do we think that smoke means? Why
Is
would
it-
you have colored smoke?
Could be magical. Could be some kind of smoke.
It has to mean, it has to signal something, right? To be seen from this far off distance.
Was
I'm
it-
sure with the right equipment you could see it from the fort.
We obviously the description of Morfenzi being visible from here was never made before. Presumably, we may have seen if it's that noticeable.
Yeah,
Was the smoke there, or is it now that we've seen the smoke, it's drawn our eyes to what
No,
we
I
otherwise
did-
might have thought was the thing?
I did mention you could see a small outcrop of buildings above beyond it that only from the Morfenzi agents you knew was likely to be Morfenzi. You definitely didn't notice that the smoke was not there on your way here. Yeah, and it isn't like it's spilling into the. It isn't like blotting out the sun or anything. But it is.
It's very
it-
much
it-
the Pope was chosen. Kind
Yeah,
of
it rises to the point where it
signaling.
just thins and just eventually dissipates. But the plume seems to be a good 100 foot tall.
Zine, do you recognize anything about that? Does that look like anything that you were familiar with?
Do not think so. It is smoke. We could sit here and wonder on it, but that is going to get us nowhere. It could be any number of things. It could be indicating something great has happened. It could be indicating that somebody has passed. It could be indicating that they are about to raid Silbervass and to prepare themselves. There is no point to speculating until we find somebody that can just give us the answer when we ask them.
It could be the byproduct of the good doctor's experiments, too.
It could be a million things.
We should keep on then, yes. Keep focus.
So looking at the Zamira Ranch isn't, that's a good couple of hours in the wrong direction for us then, right?
Yeah, I'd say by the conversations that have gone on, we're probably about here by now.
Okay.
So wait, just so I'm clear, the plume was coming from the ranch or from Morfenzi?
No, from
The plume is coming
Okay.
from Morfenzi.
Got it, okay. Just
the
wanna make
tallest
sure.
building. Yeah.
Just wanna make sure.
Yeah. I don't see anybody that we're going to stumble across, so the smoke is a question for another day. We will either find out because suddenly Morfenzi agents are upon us, but we are not enemies to them, as far as I know.
Perhaps we can find out when we get back to the fort.
We should
Let's
be on our guard
continue.
at least.
Yes. Even more so.
As you continue along the road and sort of lead the familiar path and go across that junction, but you know where right takes you to down to Fort Watton eventually. Anything you want to do about your buried goods, or are you just leaving them be and carrying on your way to?
I think we should.
Airy.
Go. Yeah.
Oh, you want to get them?
Yeah. 'Cause
We
we're not-
want to take him with us to Airy?
Airy? I mean, we're going to be
Yeah.
coming back this way one way or the other, right? We're not going to. I don't imagine.
That is the plan.
I don't imagine we'd go across the heart soil without any
Oh,
information.
jeez, I don't know.
I feel like we should bring it just in case something or someone there recognizes it. Even if it's one of the zombies who are like kind
If
of
nothing else, to
intelligent.
bring it a little bit closer so we don't have to backtrack as much.
maybe. I
If
don't
we
know. I
need
feel
it.
like I would I would prefer to have it on hand with us when we're not in the fort or in Silverbass or like a place like that. But if this area is abandoned, I don't see a reason why not to bring it.
What if the blue smoke is indicating that we have left Morfin and left Silverbass, and now somebody's coming looking for us?
I don't think it'd be that. I mean, we're insignificant to them as it stands. But, I mean, if we weren't, they would have given us an invite already. I mean,
I do not know enough about the factions that operate here yet. Again, I'm just speculating, but I see the comfort in having it with us at all times, but I also feel it is unwise for us to carry it until we need it or know that we will be leaving it behind.
I just fear that the more that we keep it away from us, the more chance we have to lose it.
Very well.
You would know from walking down to go down and get it, and get back on track. It's going to add an hour to your journey. You will arrive at Airy just after. Well, you stop them 2 hours away. You will get to where you discussed just after nightfall.
Yeah. I imagine we're going to look at making camp at nightfall.
Yeah.
When the sun goes down, we'll be looking
Yeah.
at making camp. Do we have tents and stuff? I don't know what came in now, or did we just have ration packs? I don't think
Ration
we had anything for
ration
I thought
packs,
we had bedrolls.
Yeah, we've got bedrolls. Yeah.
but nothing for camping underneath.
No.
We have
the
bedrolls,
elements.
but it's like in it's like in video games where it's all hidden, so you could still look cool.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
okay.
Okay. We will go and get we'll go and get the items, and then providing there's no hassles on the road, we travel till nightfall.
Cool. Okay, you get your stuff. You are travelling. As the Tyverlands begin to disappear out of view behind the golden fields of the Tyverlands thin out at a point. There are another patch of sort of mountains that breaks up the farmland, but it's still very clearly, golden grasses and so on. And the road does start to become a bit more hilly and windy. Ludwig had mentioned that, north of the Southwood, the road did get higher. Airy used to be, hence its name, quite high up on the banks of the river. You continue for a while. Who is leading the way, and can we make a survival check?
Leading the way on the road, right? It is just
Yeah, but is
down the road.
anyone, or is anybody keeping particular watch or check out, or is everybody just walking along? I can't imagine you're all linking arms and skipping.
I will do checkouts, but I'm not going to lead us because I don't do that.
I don't.
that.
I don't perform in that manner.
Exactly.
I'll look around as well. I'll just,
Yeah.
Rolling like ass, total ass today. By the way, this is bad.
We should say after you've fed, you get a bonus to dice rolls for a period of time.
Natural 20s all the time.
Or if you get so many bad rolls in a single session, we decide that you've become hungry.
Oh, that'd be good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. You reach a point where the road starts to get a bit higher and hilly. There are quite often points where, as you go down these hillocks, you have these hills ahead where you can't see over them until you're just cresting them. It's all quite sort of just steep. You reach a point where Hazim, if you're talking low or whatever, but as you reach one of these points, you just hear from over the crest of the next hill just a.
I will kind of like step forward and kind of like hold my hand in front of Vanessa, not touching her, and put a hand on Whisper in front of me, like, wait. There is something just beyond the hill. I too shall be of the stealths.
Yeah, Whisper, you crouch down, hardly any branches cracking underfoot, and feel like surely you have become one with the road. Hazim and Vanessa, you both crouch down or slink or hug the floor, everything you're doing, you are both also confident that you are passing stealthily. What do you want to do?
Move forward slowly.
Yeah. Peeking over the crest of the path, you see a number of undead just shambling around the road. I'll take you to a map.
Yeah, I was going to
Not-
say, actually, just based on my role, I was wondering if I could sneak into the trees to, like, be in the tree line instead
Are
of
we
on
not
the road.
beyond? Are we not beyond the trees now? Because we're going up hills and stuff.
I will show you exactly where we are. So you see a number
A loading road.
of undead. However,
Oh, yeah.
they have not noticed you.
Yeah, I'm
Whisper,
up in these trees. Yeah.
with her 7 still.
Hi, guys.
But yeah, you just see them.
So is this road more of a switchback as opposed to a fork?
It's not, but I'm not going to keep using the same map every single time. So don't correlate this to the map of the zone. But yeah, it is. This is hills.
Yeah, I'm saying we've not come at it from this point, and then
You've
it's like okay.
you've come from the right.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was either this or have like one of the Valley Assault maps that say you were going from top to bottom instead of left
Yeah,
to
don't,
right. Like
don't use that until we have a big battle. Come on. man.
exactly.
Yeah. So we could either go through the woods or try and climb the rocks elsewhere or fight our way through them, basically.
It would seem, and you see that a few of them look particularly damaged and bedraggled. You do see one that is quite a corpulent figure, much thicker set than many of the others you've encountered so far. No taller or bigger, just was a very, very large man in life in terms of diet.
Well, as we have like the position of stealth, I think we should just watch them and let's see if they do anything interesting.
Yeah, down to observe.
Yeah.
See if they do a dance or something like that.
Yeah. I think we all move into the trees and kind of like hide into the trees. Not that I think that necessarily helps us. I think because they can smell our flesh and shit. So I was like, we don't have long that we can stay here before we are noticed, unless we start pissing over each other.
I don't want you to piss on me.
Clipped. So,
Yes.
Whisper, you also became one with the stealth. What were you doing with your stealth check?
Wrongfully believing that I was succeeding, honestly.
Group stealth. It's group stealth. Fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I could have been very easily just, for once, concentrating so hard on the mysteries that I forgot the tricks and let my guard down.
Okay. So you're spending the time.
Misstep.
You're spending the time watching, just wanting to observe, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Make me insight checks, please.
Insight.
In terms of their behaviour, it's you can see clearly, Hazim and Whisper, that most of these figures are just staggering about around the road, head down until moments where like they lean back and sniff. Just through watching their behaviour, you get a couple of observations. There are two that look to be slightly more purposeful. They are not straying far from the large one. And the longer you watch, the more you get the sense, just from their placement and how they're surveying around, that they almost seem to be flanking or guarding this larger figure. The larger figure who is just sort of stood there, still slightly swaying, not staggering around like the others.
Not showing any.
Every so often,
Go on.
you see sort of, because you have this low groans and noises from all of them all the time, but every so often this big one, just more of a just some sort of gutter, something a bit more with purpose, and heads will snap, sometimes all of them. And it's all, you know, a head will turn, but it's still staggering in the other direction. It's all very drunken almost. But you get the impression that from the way that sometimes one or others, they seem to be doing something, and you feel like occasionally he's calling to individuals specifically. Can you all also make me another stealth check at this point?
My first one was so good. I don't want to risk it.
Oh no, you guys! The dice hate
The dice
me
are cursed.
today.
Dice are cursed.
Oh,
Okay. What are we all doing as you're just watching this unfold over the course of about 5 minutes or so?
I want to know what Whisper's doing. Because based on those rolls, I feel like that's gonna influence
She's juggling.
what I do.
Juggling in the road.
I feel like I would have been.
You'd be with us, right?
Yeah, but I would have been lost in thought with that first stealth roll, and then upon this, I would have followed up on you. And at this point, I think I would be probably almost in my head about things, like admonishing myself for having allowed my guard to be down and falling into the same trap. And will have like stepped on a twig or something very typical like that.
Yeah, when Vanessa hears the twig snap, she just whips her head towards Whisper and like braces her on her shoulder, tries to like pull her closer to the tree.
Are they looking a certain direction? Do they look like they're guarding? Like they're guarding
So
this area?
the two either side seem to be guarding
Guarding
or
him,
staying close to
sure.
him. Yeah, the others seem to be walking around with like their heads down, but like it. The others that you've seen haven't been. It's like they're
Like they're looking on the floor for something?
Yes,
Oh.
the big one you see from the undergrowth,
Drop the
Hazim,
contact lenses.
looks. The head just turns in your direction for a good 10, 20 seconds. Then, Lozgun, Blozgun, door. And you see one slowly shambling down the road. You see another one shambling off, bit of purpose down the other, you know, out of sight, the other direction.
Can I ask a favor, DM?
Yes.
Can you increase the opacity on the grid lines? Because it's almost impossible to see it. So it's quite hard to count squares. Thank you all. Who the fuck set this map up?
I know, yeah. The bad cartographer.
I kind of like look at Vanessa and say, okay. And I mean, I already have my glaive unraveled, and I'm just gonna step out and just try and skewer it. Surely, I'm presuming surprise attack because it's swinging.
If
Yeah,
you were gonna
sure.
step,
Go on.
if you were gonna step out clearly with a harmful intent, I am just going to wait.
Yeah. Vanessa will look to the rest of you.
To clarify, Azim, this might not change anything. You might have got what I meant. It wasn't like towards your bush. It was like
past.
it was just going down the road. You see it looking. It wasn't like it was like I know you're in there.
Okay,
That's why I said
then,
the only one walking off. It just sort of patrolling up and down the road.
Yeah, then in that case, no, I am keeping still. And
Yeah.
I apologize.
Oh, okay.
So could you ping which one is which two are the talkers? Is it the one with the white background up here?
No, the big fat dude is the talker, and these two bluey ones were the guards.
Okay.
And they're
Also
bluey
the
just for token distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This zombie stops near you. Just leans the head back a little bit and just.
I look at these two in the. I look at them and I go. Does it look like it's breathing, like it's sniffing?
Yeah. As it sniffs, you just see a bit of a flap, like a flutter of just some sort of severed neck element that just rattles a bit with the intake. Can you all please make me a stealth check?
Yes, however, upon him doing that, I would have immediately just said a very, like one of those silent whispers, like just a prayer, and done pass without a trace.
What are the components to pass without a trace? Because if there's a spell component, if there's
It's verbal.
yeah, the verbal component is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But like
You can't say it quietly.
whispers-
No,
You
it's a
can't.
mechanic thing. You can't whisper a verbal component.
Jeremy Crawford established that
You know
spells with
what,
verbal.
Jeremy Crawford.
Yeah, but he did also clarify that actually you can cast spells underwater. It isn't necessarily like the sound of it. As long as you say it at the right tonation, you can cast spells underwater.
So
Otherwise, it makes
prayer-
it makes
So for
it
a
makes.
cleric, can I say it with the right intonation of a prayer? Which,
Yeah, but you still have to say it- no,
according to
Yeah.
most churches,
We're not playing Dungeons in most churches.
Yeah. You have to.
Most
yeah,
churches
yeah,
and
yeah.
dragons. Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
make the verbal spells at the right level, which otherwise it makes the sorcerer's subtle magic
So-
like useless.
So here's the thing, Luca. You could do that, take the risk, and hope the effect of the spell outweighs the head snapping someone speaking in that bush. Or you could just...
Would I have time to, seeing how badly I failed with the 6, would I have time to attempt to divert its attention away from us?
How do you intend to divert its attention away? It has walked almost past you at this point.
So I imagine like rocks or twigs right over here.
That's a thing. The smoothest... Yeah, there would be debris.
So I would conjure my mage hand, shadow hand would pull up and just throw a rock against the cliff in the opposite direction of us.
Again, does Mage Hand have a verbal component?
Probably.
It does, verbal
all do.
and semantic.
There's so few spells that silence will actually negate.
Damn it. But I'm a sorcerer. Okay.
Oh, well, in that case. Why didn't you say, right this way?
Yeah, can I
mean-
stab him with my glaive really quietly?
So, what I didn't even make it what its check was. There we go, it was a 17 it rolled. It sort of leans back and it turns, faces in this direction, and just stands staring at your bush for a moment. Yeah, just... Asgard.
Attack of opportunity!
It starts to walk towards your bush.
Yeah,
if
it's walking towards.
yeah, so if it seems to have spotted me though, and is walking towards me, and I am clearly not stealthed.
But here's the thing: you're crouched in a bush. You believe you are stealthed. You can cast Pass Without a Trace, but the order this has happened in is it has walked down, not marching towards you all. It has come level almost going past. It has
Yeah.
then been stood, 10 feet
No,
away from you.
I'm not gonna deal with the past without trace thing. Like I'm not doing that. So if I stepped on that stick and it comes down here and then turns directly to my bush and starts walking towards me, before Hazim can get all stabby, I will absolutely just scooch forward out of the bush with hands forward.
Well,
like
yours is a
this.
movement, mine's a reaction, so I think you're fine. Mine's quicker than yours.
Also,
We're all
the
hold on, all three of us are sat there waiting to see what happens. So I imagine we're all pretty much acting at the same time.
I was going to go with this, a similar thing to Whisper and just try to we know this thing is cognizant.
Yeah.
We know they're cognitive. That's
we
why
just
we're
go.
coming here.
Sure.
They seem to be having a meeting.
Sure.
That,
We should have established this before the thing
Yeah.
walking over to
we're doing a lot
I am
of
stabbing this now as you step out of the bush.
we're doing a
this is
lot
happening
of
at the same
if
time.
I. Yeah, we're doing a lot of if I at this point.
I think we tried to edge our bets way too much to see exactly what it's going to do. It's like this thing has walked down. It's walked towards us. It's getting the glaive.
All right.
I try to be peaceful about it.
You step out. Well, or the glaive swings
I
out.
could not. Yeah, just straight out of the bush. Boom.
You manage to get right through its neck. The head almost comes clean off. The undead constitution fails. Undead fortitude fails, and it just, if you want to, with how the glaive is through its neck, you're able to
Get back
almost
in the bush.
you're able to at least get it down to the floor without a giant thud. And you have managed to stealth kill that with a rather big damage roll there for the HP it had.
Stealthy, yeah.
Then I'll kind of like twist the blade slightly, because there's a little hook on the glaive. I'm gonna try kind of fishing hook it into the bushes and slowly try and bring it in, and kind of put it to one side. And kind of I presume as I did it, it was obvious that they were all going to step forward, but have presumably stopped as I've done it. And
I don't know. Whisper and Vanessa, you tell us. You see this. You see this.
You looked like you all wanted to do something. If you didn't want me to kill it, and we didn't want to fight them, we should have probably established that beforehand.
Like maybe coming down with the whole intent to talk to them.
Who was coming to talk to them?
There are things to do other than just stab Hazim.
It was walking towards you. I mean, I've no intention of letting it.
Farming. What did you think we were doing? This was not an incursion. This was a.
Enough. The choice has been made. Can't go back on it. We need to figure out what we're going to do from now.
I'm backing up. And I'm kind of taking this one with me, trying to be a bit stealthy and backing a little bit further back down the road as we see this other one now moving towards us.
Are we doing this? Are we engaging, or are we trying to sneak around?
I don't know, but we're not going to talk about it in this bush with this one 20 feet away as it's walking towards us. So, and the DM's doing this out of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm presuming me trying to drag it. I'm going to stealth it.
Yeah,
while I'm dragging.
I'm following you while you're dragging. I'll lift up its feet or whatever.
Okay.
Try and get us back quicker.
The stealth checks are not great today. They're a pendulum, aren't they? It's 20
You
plus.
wanting a new one?
Well, no, I just saw that Hazim did one for obviously his movement, but I feel the stealth checks tonight are either always over 20 or sub 10. It is a
carrying
pendulum.
somebody. I shouldn't be that stealthy while I'm carrying.
See?
carrying someone.
20 on my stats.
Oh, are we doing it? Okay, hold on.
All right, let's figure out what we're gonna do because we need to. Are we gonna try and sneak around?
I'm assuming is
Probably can't because we
Is-
rolled that 7.
is Whisper rolling one?
Yeah, I'm rolling one. Sorry, it goes. The Founder's going so much slower for me tonight.
Whisper finally does good on the stealth.
Fine, now, of course.
Yeah, we're backing away then. We're backing away.
And you see a fair bit of with a lot of things starting to
They don't even have noses. How are they smelling?
shambling along.
I'm sure.
As you see a group of them,
Happening.
as you see a group of them starting to just move down the road in your direction, lured by something. You could assume of a sniffing, probably smell. You're all deciding what it is you're trying to do and thinking fast and try to keep on your feet. At the most inopportune moment ever, Vanessa, once again, in the corner of your consciousness, you just hear, you just feel that entrance of a voice. Just, I believe you have been looking for me. Who are you? What is it you seek?
This isn't a voice I recognize, is it?
No.
Not from this campaign.
Sounded very different than mine.
And if you would like to, you can think of what your reply would be for next time,
Yeah.
as these figures are shambling down the hill in your direction. We will leave things there for tonight.
Run up
Can
that
we put-
hill.
Can we put a mark on the map that we are actually backing up? We've not just like rolled and sat there. We are backing
Sure.
away.
We're not running up that hill?
I mean, we can, but there's only one way I'm getting up there, and that's Blade of Swinging.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I appreciated it, Jack. So that was session, I think, 15